So would I say that my experience in the sport industry has been different, to like a white competitor? I think there's different sides of it to look at. I think in boxing, it's a type of sport where, if you win via knockout, that's it. The winner is clear. Do you know what I mean? There's no question in there because you knocked out your opponent. Um, there could be questions if it goes to a points decision, and decision has to be made. Um, Also, I feel there could be opportunities that I myself, even as the athlete or the boxer, wouldn't be aware of. That I may be limited to because of the color of my skin or anything like that. But yeah, I think when we talk about the actual sport in terms of fighting, again, like I said, if you win via knockout, it's clear who the winner is. If it goes to the decision, where the referee and the judges have to, make the decisions, then then again, it's open to interpretation, and depending on where you are. Do you know what I mean? I'll speak about that further on in this Q&A, but I've had some experiences that I'd like to share. So is racism a problem in the boxing community? Again, it depends what you want to look at. Again, as I've said, boxing is a sport where you get in the ring, and if you knock the other person out, then you've taken it out of the hands of other people to make that decision of who the winner is. It gets a bit tricky if that's not the case and you haven't knocked out your opponent. Then of course it goes into the hands of other people to make that decision of who they feel the winner is. I think if you look at, let's say, different structures, or not structures, if you look at different what's the word I'm looking for? If you look for different organizations within boxing, you won't find many black men that are involved in it, or that are in a position of power. You might see a black trainer or whatever it is, but to say, oh, is there a black manager, a black promoter, behind these big organizations, is there a black person behind it, in a good managerial position? The answer is no. So, yeah, if you look in it from that perspective, you could be like, yep, there's an issue there. If you look at it as actually two men get in the ring and they fight, if someone knocks, you'd like to think that these fights are scored fairly, and evenly. But yeah, that's to be questioned as well. From the perspective of sitting in the crowd, it's not very often that I'm in the crowd watching a boxing match. Usually I'm either fighting, or if I'm watching it live, I'm probably very, very close to the ring. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not like deep within the crowd where there's, not that there's a bit more of an atmosphere, but where, you're really, really amongst the people, if you know what I mean. So how would I like the movement for change to be supported by sports? I think with the amount of audience and masses that sports touches, a lot of people are into sport and they watch sport, and that, I think with the large number size like that, sports already is a great influence. Like I say, there's a lot of people that will be watching it. And when we watch sports, there are many sports that they're black dominated sports. Do you know what I mean? Most of the athletes are black. And you think, if that's such the case, and the amount of funds that these athletes are generating for these organizations or these teams or whatever it is, you think, why is the color of their skin important? Do you know what I mean? A way that sports can contribute, I think, there are organizations that work with black people, young black kids that don't have the opportunities. Not even just black kids, we're talking about races that are underrepresented, people that are underrepresented, people like that. Do you know what I mean? The contribution that can be given towards them and towards these courses that will help to give opportunity or to educate or whatever it is, they can do that. Even, let's go a step further, let's talk about internships, work experience. Do you know what I mean? These sports organizations can give these opportunities to colored people, to black people. And I also think, again, like I mentioned earlier on, that those that are underrepresented, those voices that are not heard, sports can give these guys a voice. It can magnify certain things that they think about, what they think about certain things, give them opportunity. So yeah, I think that's like a major way that sports can contribute. We can also talk about the gap pay. Are black people paid the same as white people? That's also another question. So yeah, there's just quite a lot of things to be considered, man. I see sports again playing a massive role in this. As I say, man, sports is it's like a worldwide language. Everyone understands sports. Do you know what I mean? We all watch sports. We all kind of participate in it or have an involvement in it. In some way or form. Not everyone, but most people do. So yeah, I feel definitely. Another thing I feel is that athletes should be allowed to voice their opinions on things. We're not saying we're all politicians. We're not saying we're, whatever people want to say. We're not saying that. But every human being has an opinion, we also have one. Yeah, we're athletes. We do sports. All of that stuff. Cool, but we still have an opinion on certain issues. And just because you play a certain sport doesn't mean you lack understanding about topics within society or issues that's going on in the world. So I think the whole stigma or athletes fearing a backlash or whatever it is from the media or from the people, that should be removed, minimized. Do you know what I mean? Because like I say, man, everyone's got an opinion, and we should be able to voice it out. Do you know what I mean? Same way when people have bad things to say about people, they voice it out. So I think if someone's got something good to say about something, or if they've got an opinion about something, then we as athletes, whether you're an athlete or not, we're gonna voice it out. And I think that's how it should be. Yeah, I think the way to keep the momentum going is quite simple. It's simply to keep raising awareness about this. Keep reminding people. Keep putting it out there. To speak about it. To have courses. And just have things in place that will constantly be tackling this issue. People like to set a lot of departments in work for department for this, department for that, department for this. Have a department for racism. Deal with it. Do you know what I mean? Like I said, the constant reminding of people, have a clear definition of what it is. It should not be tolerated in the working environment. In any kind of environment, it shouldn't be. But overall, it's just to keep raising awareness about it and just keep spreading the word, being vocal about it. How the sports industry can bring awareness to this or to tackle this, again, like I said previously, is to increase awareness of it, to make it known the various forms that it comes in, whether it's structurally, whether it's institutional, whether it's interpersonalized. Do you know what I mean? There's just various of ways in which this comes in, different methods, whether it's sly, whether it's obvious. Do you know what I mean? So I think raising awareness of it, making people know, having a clear definition of what racism is, and making everyone aware of it, and kind of putting it in front of everyone's mind rather than something that it's not even considered or thought about. I think putting a real push and emphasis on it is kind of a way how the sports industry, I'd say, can kind of help to attack it. What I think the wider fitness industry can do to kind of keep this pressure going is again keep that awareness going, raise awareness, make people aware of it, have, like I said before, a clear definition of what racism is, making people aware that it happens in various forms and no form of it will be tolerated. When you look at organizations within the fitness industry, you want to see people of color, you want to see a black person in a position where they can have an influence on the company, they can have an effect on the company. You don't want to just see it as, they've got black people in front of it. So from the outside, you're like, okay, they look like a fair company that accepts all races. But when you look behind it and the people that are behind it, you find out that actually there's not a single colored man involved in it or in a position of influence. Because say, for example, if you need a law degree to have a specific position, you can't sit down and say, oh, actually, no black person has got a law degree. It's a lie. There are black men out there with all kinds of degrees. Do you know what I mean? So we can't sit down and say, oh, it's because they haven't got it. They've got it. People have gone to universities, they've studied, they've educated themselves. So I think, yeah, to see that, you know, the opportunity is there for everyone, and not just a specific race, or the opportunity is there, but not for not for a specific race, in the sense that for this type of people, nah, we don't like them, or we don't have them. Nah, you don't want to see that. Do you know what I mean?